Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. My name is Shay. I'm a full-time reseller on Poshmark, eBay, and Mercari.
I'm Tyler, part-time seller on eBay, Mercari, Poshmark.
In today's video, we are talking about men's t-shirts.
Yep.
So what we're going to do today is we're going to give you 5 things we look for when we're picking up men's t-shirts. And to be clear, we're not just talking about vintage t-shirts. So that's why it says men's t-shirts in the title and not vintage.
Although vintage is so great.
Yeah.
Clutch.
And this is, we're learning as we go. So this is what we know so far. And if we learn more, we will tell you more.
Yeah.
Okay. So number 1 is content. So for vintage t-shirts and men's t-shirts, the most important thing is going to be, what is this item about? So this item is actually a Coldplay Live 2012 tour t-shirt. We sold it this morning on Mercari.
Yep.
We actually found out about band t-shirts through the ThredUp DIY t-shirt box.
Yeah.
But band t-shirts seem to do really well for men. So if you can find them at a decent price.
I mean, a lot of men's t-shirts are plain and boring. I mean, this one is a work shirt that I've been wearing for the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah, so if you're flipping through the racks and you see something that's not boring, you might want to look at it. If you recognize the graphic from something or you're curious about what the graphic is, look it up.
Video games.
Yes.
All of the video games. We sold a Call of Duty World at War one that we picked up.
Yeah.
And it sold quick.
Sold
t-shirts.
really fast and for a decent price. I had actually uppriced it a little bit because I wasn't sure, and it sold. So make sure you do that. And then nostalgia. So obviously this goes more into the vintage t-shirt thing, although we did sell a Nickelodeon, thank you, Rugrats t-shirt that was not vintage,
No.
but it was nostalgic from the 90s, and it sold for, I think it was like $20.
20, 25 bucks somewhere in there.
Yeah, and then obviously the vintage stuff.
That's the money. So Roger Rabbit, Gumby, you both sold those for $50, and it's it's $1,500, $1,600 or 1,600% markup.
Yeah. Now we may have underpriced those. We're still learning as we go. But when we buy something for $3 and sell it for $50 within 10 minutes, I'm happy with that.
I mean, yeah, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, exactly.
Really.
Okay. So the next thing, number 2, would be single stitch. This is something that's super important when it comes to vintage t-shirts. So this is something we wanted to show you. People have been asking what it looks like. So hopefully you can see this on camera. But that is.
So this is a vintage, nice graphic t-shirt. It's a little bit destroyed.
Public image t-shirt. Yep.
The other thing that also is vintage is the piping on the collar.
The ringer.
The ringer.
Now, I'm going to say this for both things. Not all single stitch or ringers are vintage, and not all vintage t-shirts are single stitch or ringer. So I want to make sure that I get that out of the way because there are people that are probably going to say that. So be aware of that. But those things make me say, okay, I'm going to take a second look at this shirt and try to see if I can figure this out.
If you look at the other things that will tell you about a vintage t-shirt, I mean, usually you can pin it down to a decade is what we go for. At least we're still learning that, but
yeah,
90s, 80s, 70s, those are money.
Yeah, so make sure that you're looking for that. And if you guys need help determining if something is single stitch, if that didn't show very well, always feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. Before we go any further, I do want to say, if you do enjoy this type of content, if you like learning about different things that you can sell, bolos, stuff like that, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and give the video a big thumbs up. And also leave a comment down below letting us know what else you look for when you're looking for men's t-shirts.
So to compare that to the one we sold today, it's got the double stitch on the sleeves and everywhere, and the single stitch just looks like a dash running down the side. Yeah,
it usually stands out pretty well, so you should be able to see that. Number 3 is brand tag.
Yes.
So brand tag is going to be super important. The number 1 thing that I generally look for when it comes to the brand tag is what it feels like. Is it paper? If it's paper, I'm going to take a second look. So this one right here is paper.
Yeah. So this is an old tag.
Yeah, and if you don't really recognize the brand, like if it's not Gildan, things like that, then probably take another look at it. It might be vintage.
Hanes Heavyweight.
Hanes Heavyweight. There are really great resources online that you can just type in what the tag is and you can find out. Yeah. There is also Vintage Label Resource Guide. I will put that in the comments below. It's not always super helpful when it comes to t-shirts. It can be, it can't be. It's definitely helpful with things like Pendleton and stuff like that. But it's a hit or miss, but I do always check it just to see if it has anything that might be helpful. So make sure you're looking at that brand tag.
Fourth is condition.
Yeah, fourth is condition. So vintage t-shirts, people are willing to take things that are a little bit grungy, things like that.
This might be a bridge too far.
Yeah, this one is super ripped, but considering the comps were really, really high, we wanted to at least give it a shot and see if anybody wanted to use it for, cutting it up, things like that. We'll see how that goes. Stains, things like that, sometimes can be okay, but we really like to try to keep it as clean and good as possible. And then when it comes to band t-shirts, I don't do any flaws. I won't get anything with flaws. The price point is not high enough for me.
Unless it's a vintage t-shirt. If it was like Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd.
Okay, vintage band t-shirts is different, but just regular band t-shirts. All of the
monies. It is shut up and take my money, regardless of condition.
Yeah, and make sure, because these are men's t-shirts, that you are checking the armpit area. That is something I check every time I'm looking through the t-shirts. That's where I find the bulk of the flaws. So make sure that you are doing that, especially when it comes to white tees. The stains just don't seem to come out as well.
It'll orange out and you just have to chuck it.
Yeah, so just make sure that you're checking that area. And then number 5 is price. Now, obviously, that seems like an obvious one because you're looking at price when you source anything. But some stores are actually, it's vastly different.
So a lot of the newer ironic graphics that are not even vintage, but they're a nice graphic, whether it's video games or TV related, they're $7-8, and you're only going to get $20, $25.
Right.
So it's really, really tight margins, but some of them that are decent graphics, but they're not anything that the person pricing recognizes. They're $2-3.
Yeah, and then certain stores are different. So we have a store near us that prices really, really high for t-shirts, and we're aware of that, mostly because they get awesome t-shirts, and I think that they probably have a really high sell-through, so that's why. But then we have other stores near us that price all t-shirts, no matter what they are, at like $2.99.
Yeah.
So make sure that you're checking those t-shirt sections and looking at what the price point is, because if it's at the $2.99 level, you might want to frequent that store, because even if you're only getting things that flip for $15, if they're flipping in a day, that's a pretty great idea. It's something
turn
worth
$3
doing.
into $15 or $20, and it'll go depending on the graphic.
Yeah, and you'll definitely get people coming back and looking for more stuff if that's what they like. So that is 5 tips that we have for you guys. Hopefully this is helpful. We've had a lot of people asking about t-shirts, and because we're adding that into our repertoire.
That and DVDs, but this is a t-shirt video.
This is a t-shirt video. But hopefully that's helpful. So let us know in the comments below what your thoughts are, and if there are other things that you look for when you are looking for t-shirts. But that is all I have. So thank you guys very much for watching.
Thank you all for watching.